Hi Year 5, back with the Jamie Drake equation, and this will be chapter 19. So this is where you've got to. Grandad's hands rest on my shoulders as I sit on the back wall, my school shoes scuffing the flower heads as I stare across the meadow to the foot of Beacon Hill. The school have been on the phone. Your mum's worried sick. She's out in the car with Charlie looking for you now. We've all been calling your mobile. Shaking his hands from my shoulders, I swing myself down from the wall. I switch my phone off, I tell him, quickly wiping my eyes so he can't see that I've been crying. I just needed some time to think. Oh, Jamie lad, Grandad says, his voice softening as his big arms envelop me in a bear hug. His sticky t-shirt smells of porridge and stale cigarettes. Come into the barn and let's have a proper chat. Sitting on an upturned beer crate, I look around at the chaos that clutters the barn, most of the space filled with the wreckage of Grandad's rock star past. Towering amplifiers and monitors line the walls, each one stenciled with the Death Panda logo. Leaning against these are the electric guitars of every size, shape and colour, while leads and cables snake across the sticky floor. A flame red drum kit is set up against the far wall, a cartoon panda bursting up the front of the large bass drum. This used to be our rehearsal space when the band was still together, Grandad says as he strides across the floor. But since the band broke up, it's a bit of a dumping ground. That's why I let your mum work on a new sculpture in here, to brighten the place up. He points across the room to where 4 separate columns of glass and steel rise at least 3 metres high. The tall curving shapes seem to twist and curl together, their coloured glass filling the room with light. Before Charlie was born, I remember Dad taking me to watch Mum at her studio. I remember her face fixed in concentration as she conjured strange creatures out of the glass, their shapes changing from whichever angle you looked. I remember Mum and Dad laughing together as I tried to guess what animal each sculpture was meant to be. A rabbit? A pony? A unicorn? A dragon? Their laughs getting louder as my guesses got more and more ridiculous. And now I don't think I'll ever see them laugh together again. Sitting down on the drum stool, Grandad picks up an electric guitar and with a bandaged hand, harangues an unamplified chord. I played this guitar at the Monsters of Rock festival back in '82, he reminisces. That's where I met your grandma for the first time. We were together for 25 years till she left with that American drummer. For a second, Grandad just sits there with a faraway look in his eyes, his left hand stroking the neck of his guitar. Then he looks at me, the lines of his wrinkled face creasing into a frown. I heard you talking to your mum about the divorce yesterday. I slumped down further in my makeshift seat, burying my head in my hands. All that anger that I felt when I was standing on stage in front of Dad on that huge projector screen has faded away. All that's left now is the pain. I don't know why they're splitting up, I say, the words almost catching in my throat. I don't know who's to blame. I waited so long for Dad to come home and now Mum says we can't be together anymore. Why can't they just work things out and stay together? Grandad absent-mindedly strums his guitar, the unamplified notes ringing out a melancholy tune. Sometimes things just don't work out. Bands, marriages, record deals. People change and people move on. Your mum has put her life on hold for a long time to help your dad achieve his dreams, moving you from country to country and almost giving up on her own career. Don't you think it's time she had the chance to shine? Can't you do that with Dad? Grandad shakes his head. It's not for me to say, Jamie. You really need to talk to your mum and dad together. But I can't, I say, fighting back my tears. I know, Grandad sighs, resting his guitar against the amp as he gets up from the drum stool. He walks across the barn to rest his hand on my shoulder. Not yet. There's enough going on with your dad's spacewalk tomorrow, but you need to remember, Jamie, your mum and dad love you and Charlie, and that won't ever change. I squeeze my eyes shut, remembering the last time I saw Dad properly. He was in quarantine at the spaceport in Kazakhstan, waiting for the Soyuz rocket to blast off the ISS. Before launch, astronauts have to stay away from any potential sources of germs so they don't end up getting sick in space. So the last time I saw Dad face to face, he was behind a sealed glass window, Dad holding up his hand to mine as he said goodbye, the same way he does at the end of every video call. Sitting on the upturned crate, I feel the weight of all my worries pushing me down, just like the G-forces on Dad when he blasts off into space. I've got an alien on my phone and I don't know what's going to happen when Dad gets home. I just wish he was back right now. That's the end of chapter 19.
Hello Year 5, so this is today's English and it's another reading comprehension from your pack. And this one is called The Sun. You've just got 1 page to read. So all the information you need is on there. Remember, we don't make up the answers when we do reading comprehension. Then there are a list of questions. And I think there's another one on this page. Yeah, a couple more questions. So you've got 10 questions to answer about the sun. So this is a piece of factual writing, isn't it? So it's giving us information. So once you've done that, I thought what you might like to do is, inspired by the information, again in your pack there's these sheets that I put in. So there's this one and some different planets and the moon. So you could write your own factual piece of information using these sheets. And then you could even, as an extension, come up with your own comprehension questions for the writing that you do. So you're going to have to do some research, but then if you wanted to, you could also write some comprehension questions. So start with the sun pack, do the reading, read it first, then read the questions, and then answer the questions. We'll go through the answers on Zoom later on, and then you can come up with your own information sheet. You could do any planet, so if it's not one that's there in your pack, you can choose any planet. And then as an extension, you could write a few questions of comprehension about your own piece of information.